Hey, welcome to the Philosophy Podcast. I am your host, Controversy, and to my right, I have my co-host, Mr.
Darren, love the most craziest person in the world!
And together, we are the Philosophy Podcast. Thank you to you guys for tuning in to another episode this week. All we ask, guys, is that if you're new to the channel and you do like the content, please like, comment, and subscribe. And yeah, just stay tuned for future episodes coming. You know what I mean? Because we're going to be releasing a new episode every single week for the foreseeable future, as long as we feel like doing this. You get me? So yeah. Without further ado, mate, what is today's hot topic, mate? What is on the agenda for today?
Let's talk about, because I've been sort of thinking about the imagination this week a lot, and I just think, that'd be a good topic to talk about.
What, the imagination?
Oh, yeah.
So this week, this episode, hashtag imagination. This is what we're talking about this week. This week's episode is going to be all about the imagination and everything that, everything that comes under that umbrella. You get me? So yeah.
We're going to have to try to use our imagination to...
That's it.
To try to
make it interesting.
See what we're talking about and,
That's
see what
it.
we come out with, and...
That's it.
I say imagination's a very beautiful place, if you ask me, or it can be quite a horrible place, it depends, it's up to you, I think. Yeah.
It depends on what you choose to subscribe to, you know what I mean? Because sometimes people consume so much negativity that their thoughts become negative. Yeah? Because they allow negative shit to kind of infiltrate their minds and kind of program them and brainwash them, if you see what I mean, And sometimes a lot of people end up regurgitating that behaviour or those actions or, whatever.
I think some people, had awful bad memories.
Yeah, a lot of people.
Like so, in the previous, I don't like to repeat myself, but
yeah.
So we do share the same memory sometimes, and all this goes into the imagination. So whatever we remember or whatever happens to our life, it kind of goes into our memory.
Yeah, definitely.
And it kind of follows us like a ghost almost, So what your memories, like your past memories, what you did yesterday or how you behaved, are kind of your shadow in a funny way, and they're sort of following you around. So if you're going to be really negative yesterday, right, that negativity kind of follows you around the next day, if you're with me, like a shadow. So I think your memories are your own shadow in a way, and I think it's up to you to paint your own shadow gold, if you want, or you don't want a black shadow, do you? Do you know what I mean? And I think some people get so negative they give up, and they don't want to make their imagination beautiful, Like I say, the imagination is an incredible place, and some people don't know they got one.
It's true, yeah.
Or they're too busy, or some people are too busy to use it, or
too preoccupied.
Or some people, in their jobs, there's a number of jobs out there where people can't use their imagination to the full potential.
No, because they're just consumed with their work, if you see what I mean, and life.
It's like you can't...
But it happens to most people. It happens to a lot of people, Especially when you become an adult and you've got responsibilities and a full-time job or whatever, etc. There's even some people that got a full-time job and in education and got kids too. You know what I mean? You don't know, this, people live very busy lives, That's why sometimes, even in this day and age, a lot of people don't have as much time for family and friends and social events and all that kind of shit like they used to. Not only that, but a lot of people can't even afford it because, as we were talking about last time, with how inflation is going up exponentially every at the moment, it's like I was saying, a lot of people can't afford it. So
they get angry, don't they? And they if you get unhappy, you can't use your imagination so well. Do you know what I mean? It is.
It's almost like most of us become like we're on autopilot. If you see what I mean, almost like a robot. We're so on autopilot. We're so, don't get me wrong, having a routine is a good thing, but some of us are so stuck in the same routine like 24/7, if you see what I mean, to the point where it's just, It's just you're on autopilot. You just, you know. But at the end of the day, we all got to do what needs to be done. You know what I mean? And we understand that as human beings. You know what I mean? We got to do what needs to be done. You know, otherwise, you know, society doesn't move forward. We don't progress. We don't.
Well, I don't
whatever.
think sometimes I don't feel it is moving forward when there's a lot of people out there not using their imagination. You know, I see so many people out there, you know, that can't use their imagination because they're too busy, or they don't know they've got imagination. There's lots of people like that.
Yeah.
Or they might know their imagination, they might know they got one, but they don't use it enough. Or whatever, you know, there's lots of reasons, all right. But you know, the imagination is in your intelligence. This is what I believe, you know.
Yeah.
And it's actually your spirit, all right. You know, I believe because I sort of like, I mean, me myself, right. When I was 5 years old, I felt that I had quite a beautiful imagination back then, you know, and that's kind of growing, you know, and sometimes I've had my disasters like we all have, yeah, and it kind of, you know, you're down in the dumps for a few years, for some reason you've got to sort out major problems like a divorce or something, and you ain't got time to do any art no more, you ain't got time to create music, you know, you've got to stop that, yeah, you can't do it until you get financially free, you know, free of objects in a kind of way, I feel, you know, like for instance, if you've got a car, you've got to look after that car, you've got to clean it, you know, and you're not using your imagination so much, you know, unless you're painting the car. But I mean, I think it's good painting it, you know.
Yeah, it's people that can detail cars.
You know, but I feel like it's a bit of a waste of time, you know, it's a waste of your imagination just watching telly every day, for instance, you know. I think it's good to watch a film sometimes.
Yeah.
That helps, you know, some good films out there that you watch and it kind of helps you create your own ideas or maybe your own film even. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah. But only that, I think some people just use it as a mechanism sometimes just to unwind. Like they might just sit down at the end of the day after having such a long, busy day, they might just sit down for 2 or 3 hours before they go to bed and watch a film. Just to unwind and forget about, you know what I mean, not have to think about anything for 2 hours, if you see what I mean, apart from the film, if you get what I'm saying.
I don't understand these people that have got to watch the film twice. It's like they've got a bad memory.
Yeah, well I was going to say, in all honesty, there's a few films that I have watched twice, but predominantly I must say that most of those films were comedies, you know. There's only been like there's been probably like 2 or 3 action films that I've rewatched a few times, you know, but all the films I've ever rewatched mostly are comedies, to be honest, you know, I think comedy films, you know.
But sometimes it's actually good to watch a film twice, or even 3 times.
Because sometimes you miss things.
Because you look at it in a different light, and you know, whatever.
Sometimes you do miss things as well.
You know,
you don't even realise you missed something.
Like say you watch a film, say for instance, say one of my favourite films is Back to the Future. I don't know what your favourite film is.
I don't know, mate. I, in all honesty, right, mate, I've watched so many films in my lifetime. I just find it, I don't know how people can say they've got a favourite film. Like, if you've watched the amount of films you've watched in your lifetime, it's like, it's incredible, you know? I don't know, loads, you know? I can't just name one off the top of my head, if I'm honest with you, you know? Yeah. I've just watched so many films, I can't, you know, there's not one that kind of like just comes to mind and like, you know?
But you know, like for instance, the film called, say, Ghost, for instance. You know, you watch.
That was a good film.
Well, you watch it, right? And you know, I think most people that did watch that at the cinema, you know, they were quite happy when they left. You know, do you know what I mean? It's a good memory in a kind of way. Yeah. They probably went home sort of like holding hands, you know, like couples go and watch that film afterwards, you know, and going home, you know, having a bit of a romantic himself after watching that film, you know, because it put those people into that
in that kind of mood. Yeah.
Probably a lot of pregnancies at that time.
Yeah. And you know, back then too, there was a lot less contraception and stuff. You know, well, people were using less contraceptions and stuff. You know.
But that's what I think. Like,
it's funny.
You know, like the imagination is an incredible, magical place. You know, and it's also a time machine. Yeah. You know, and you can like go back to a memory of the past. You know, like when you're 3 or 5 or whatever. Yeah. But not just that. You can go back far. You know, before you can go back to Jesus times if you wanted. You know, as long as you sort of, you know, learn a little bit about history and understand what they wore at that time. Yeah.
As long as you can create like a visual image in your head of what. Yeah.
But you know, like, that's what I'm saying. Is the imagination is almost like a spirit that can dream of. You know, I can close my eyes, yeah, and even though the stars are out at the moment because it's dark outside, whatever, and the moon's out, I can picture, you know, close my eyes and pretend it's sunny.
Yeah. Yeah, because you've seen it so many times. You can draw that from your visual memory.
I can lay down in bed right now, yeah, and pretend it's a sunny day, yeah, and I'm just laying there, you know.
Yeah.
You know, and just close my eyes. You know, I can pretend my whole home, whatever, is a castle and it's made of gold.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your imagination is a great thing,
and
you can actually, you know, like. Once you understand your imagination, yeah, how beautiful it is and how powerful it is, you can actually start painting it and putting whatever you want in it, like gold, yeah. It's your house, it's your home.
I think that also comes back down to creating your own reality as well, you know. We as human beings, with our thoughts, our actions, our words, and other things as well, of course, you know, not only our thoughts, our actions and our words, but those things in particular, are what create and shape and manifest our reality, if you see what I mean, you know. I don't think people also realise how powerful just like your words are, like the words, you know, the words we use every day, how powerful, like, you know, you're putting a vibration, every time we speak, it's vibration that's going out into the universe, you know. Every time you do something, you're putting out an energy into the universe, you know, so whether it be a positive action or a negative action, you're putting that energy out into the universe, you know, and everything comes full cycle, if you see what I mean, you know, that's essentially what they call karma, you know, the karmic laws, you know, but yeah, you know, it's up, like you said, going back to the imagination, you know, you can use your mind and your imagination to create the, you know, the world that you know, your own little world that you want to live in, you know, and use that to kind of shape your reality, you know.
Well, you know, it's not just the imagination, is also a musical machine, you know. It can remember like tunes, that your favourite tunes.
Yeah.
You know, that you might have been with your girlfriend in the past or whatever, you know, do you know what I mean? It is a very musical place too, and it can also create music and write songs as well, yeah? And that is the art of the year, almost, yeah?
And I was going to say, obviously, as you know, that's something that I do. I write songs.
That's right,
you know,
and I do personally like writing songs as well, but I've not written one yet.
Yeah.
You know, and I like writing my own music, yeah? And sometimes when you're writing music, you've got to use your imagination. You've got to think, oh, it'd sound good with a bit of thunder in there, for instance, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, or make a scene up, or, you know, like an atmosphere of a haunted house, say, you know, and you've got to make the music sort of like eerie, whatever, you know, and to give that feeling to the people that are listening to it,
Yeah.
of a haunted house, even though you're not even mentioning it.
Yeah.
Sort of motorbike.
Yeah.
You know, that's another thing, right? Noise distraction, you know, I find like motorbikes distract my imagination a lot, you know.
Yeah.
And I forget what I'm talking about. You know, but anyway, that's that.
Yeah.
You know, but imagination, so you got that.
He's a noisy bugger, ain't he?
Yeah. So you got your imagination that can do music. You know, the art, you know, and you got your eyes that can sort of remember things, and actually, you can actually draw that memory on. I mean, some people copy it, you know, but you can actually memorize something and draw your own picture of a different planet or whatever.
Well, like you're saying,
project it.
Like you're saying, all imagination, everything that you can imagine, comes from what you've experienced. Whether it be something that you've seen, something you've touched, something you've smelt, something you've tasted, something you've felt, etc. You know, it all stems from your senses, you know, and how your sensory perception then sends signals to your brain, and your brain works accordingly, according to, you know, and registers those memories, if you see what I mean, so that, like you said, when you are using your imagination, you can usually recall those memories quite vividly, if you see what I mean, you know, so that you can, you know.
You know, and I know, yeah, like when I was 5, my imagination was okay. Yeah, it was good for a 5-year-old. Let's put it that way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Didn't know much of a past, whatever. 5 years past, whatever. But then when you're 10, your imagination will grow greater.
Yeah.
You'll know more stuff. That's that. Your imagination is growing 3 times more, maybe. Then when you're 20, it's greater.
Of course, yeah.
And then when you're 40, it's even greater, right? But the thing is, some people give up. They really do. They sort of think, I'm dying. Or they're fearing death or something, right? And that is a full stop for your imagination. If you're fearing, or even if you're hating something all day long, or whatever, or moaning, or worrying, your imagination is worrying, not dreaming.
Yeah.
Or fearing. It's not dreaming anymore.
Yeah.
And if you want to go to paradise, right, yeah, I believe that you just got to really let go of your fears, let go of your worries, don't worry about tomorrow, enjoy the moment, take every minute as it comes.
Live your life.
Right, and that's when your imagination can start using it, you see, yeah, to its full potential in a kind of way, That's what I think anyway, so I'm looking forward to sort of like, I'm 56 now, and you're very much younger than me, unfortunately. I wish I was his age.
I'm 30.
But I can pretend I'm his age. And it's a thing, I've got such a great imagination, I can be whatever age I wish.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's, I can pretend to be 3 if I want.
Yeah. But like we were saying, I was saying last time, right? Like most of the older people that I've ever spoken to always tell me, like, my body has aged physically, but mentally I still feel like I'm 30 or 40 years old. Like, it's, time goes very quickly, and so
I feel 21.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes I feel a bit like an old man, Depends really, At the moment I feel 23.
Yeah.
Right. I feel younger than him.
Yeah.
But like I say, I'm twice your age, Josh.
Almost, yeah.
For what he's learned, alright, like when I was his age, honestly, alright, I wasn't as smart as Josh,
Okay.
I don't think, but I was clever in my own way, I was an artist or whatever, but I was a bit, like back when I was Josh's age, I was a bit, my imagination was going far then, do you know what I mean? And I wasn't thinking about reality.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? I found out recently, like, bipolar people like Albert Einstein got a big imagination, and so I don't know whether that's a fact or not, whether bipolar people have got colourful imaginations.
That's something we'll have to look into.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, all anything that you can imagine within your mind, whether it be just while you're laying there. Sometimes you can visualize stuff within your mind while you're just kind of laying there, like you're saying, laying there with your eyes closed, kind of thing. But all that comes from experience, and we've all got our own individual experiences, So some of us can visualize things that some other people can't, because they might not have had that experience, There's someone that might have gone, let's say someone might have gone bungee jumping, let's say, for example, yeah? They might get home after they've been on holiday, done some bungee jumping, done some fun outdoor, adventurous activities, whatever, while they're on holiday. They get back home, laying on the couch with their eyes closed, they can lay there and visualise bungee jumping and how they felt at that time, and etc. But someone that's never done that cannot lay there and recall the emotions that, if you see what I mean, that person felt at that time, if you see what I mean.
I don't.
You can imagine yourself bungee jumping, but you can't recall the emotion that person who actually did it at the time felt.
I mean, yeah, that's right.
If you get what I'm saying, the person actually did it, the emotions that they experienced, you can't actually recall that. You can lay there and visualise yourself bungee jumping, because we've all seen it online, or we've seen it in a film or something where people are bungee jumping, so we've got a mental image in our head of what that looks like, so we can all lay there right now with our eyes closed and visualise ourselves, with a tightrope on, jumping off a cliff, if you see what I mean.
Yeah,
but we can't, because we've never done it physically, we can't recall the emotions, though, of how someone that's actually done that felt at that moment, if you see what I mean, Whether it be anxiety, or fear, or worry, or joy, or ecstasy, or
I can kind of, because I've experienced zip wire ecstasy before.
Yeah.
You know, like that sort of like a big zip wire,
Mm.
and halfway sort of down, you sort of drop. And
Okay.
I go 10 foot under the water. You know. I can't really swim. You know, very well then back then. I'm talking about when I was 15. Yeah. Scared the life out of me. You know, but that if you do that kind of thing, right, that memory sticks for you forever.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You know? I don't know whether I was quite scared actually, you know, because I'm very good at swimming, you know, and you know, so these experiences could be a scary experience or a good experience depending on who you are, in a kind of way, you know.
Yeah.
Or how many times you've dived in a funny way, you know, where some people have dived so many times that they get skillful at it, and it's not scary to them, you know, come over their fears a little bit, you know, where somebody diving for the first time don't want to jump off the board.
Yeah.
If you know what I mean.
Mm.
You know, so
because of fear or anxiety, like you're talking about.
Fear does get in the way of.
You know, not saying fear sometimes can be a good thing, because obviously having fear sometimes will help you to make
saves your life.
Yeah, saves your life, helps you to make the right decision. You know, like you said, to preserve your life. You know. Sometimes, in some instances, depending obviously on the scenario. But yeah.
Can you imagine if we didn't have fear or pain in this life? Do you know what I mean? We'd be putting our hands in the fire going, look, what I could do. You know, my hand be burning off, but I can't feel no pain.
Yeah.
You know, and pain's there, right, just to tell you, yeah, you're going to die if you don't get away from that, or whatever, you know.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason, really.
Of course, yeah.
And so is fear.
Yeah.
It's there for a reason, you know. And I think, like, I mean, if we only fear death, right? Because we're lucky enough to be alive.
The only reason most people fear death is because it's the unknown.
Yeah, but if
that's
we
all
were,
it is. It's a fear of the unknown. Fear of the unknown.
Let's put it this way. If we weren't lucky enough to be alive, it'd be impossible to fear death.
True, because
you
wouldn't have experienced life, so you wouldn't be able to.
Fear is actually a gift in a funny way, you know, when you think about it, right? It's I know it's not very nice having fear, right?
But it comes along with life.
So does sadness.
Yeah, pain and grief.
So does sadness, you know, like
and sorrow.
You imagine a world.
But also all the good shit too.
Imagine a world without sadness, you know, where you never cry.
Yeah.
You know.
But it's all about balance, though. Balance, you know. But there's everything. There's all balance, you know. There's all that kind of shit. Whether it be sadness, grief, sorrow, all that kind of stuff. But on the flip side, you've also got all the positive stuff, you know, happiness and joy, and you know, etc. You know. So.
But I think, like, personally, I like to be. Every day, I feel more positive than I do negative in life. Yeah. You know. There was a time that I was living under that line, negativity, yeah, and sometimes it's a bit like quicksand, right? It's a bit like a puddle or something, you know. You step into it, and you get sad, and you can go into quicksand and get sadder and sadder and sadder until you don't want to be there, all right, and you don't want to live even, all right, and you'd be quite happy to take your life. Right, because you're so sad and unhappy or anxious, right? You can't enjoy the moment, that you'd rather not be here, and you just rather get, you know, you don't want to suffer anymore with your pain. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then, you know, so that is an awful, you know, depression is, you don't want to be in that way, in that half. You know, you've got to jump. You either stay in bed or get up in life. Do you know what I mean? So you got to get up and stand up, be strong, like a tree, but, you know, stay on the positive side of things if you can, you know. And like, you know, like everyone's got loved ones that they, you know, don't want to die, and they do sometimes, do you know what I mean? And that upsets everyone, you know. But you've got to stand up like a tree and be in the positive lane, you know, because your loved ones won't want you to be in the sad lane and die, because you're upset about them. They want you to be positive, you know, and it's just, you've got to be positive, even though there's sad things happening in life. You've got to accept.
Yeah.
If you see what I'm, if I'm.
Yeah.
Am I getting confused?
No, I get what you're trying to say. Yeah, you've got to. No matter what life, no matter what kind of life throws at you, or kind of what you're experiencing, or you know, whatever trauma you've experienced in the past, or whatever the case may be. it's all about not allowing your experiences, especially the bad ones, to define you. You know what I mean? To define who you are as a person. You know, we all have a past, and if you're fortunate enough, we all have a future. So that means anything that you've experienced in the past or been through and that you've overcome is now, you know what I mean, it's, you know, you don't allow those things to affect your present moment and your future happiness.
But sometimes, you know, it does, you know, and I can understand it, you know, like some people get abused in one way or another, right? And that's a bad memory they got to carry
for the rest of their lives.
You know, and you can't get rid of it, you know, you can't just sort of like, you know, wake up the next day and that's gone. You know,
it takes a lot of time.
It's stuck on your back.
It takes a lot of time and healing, and sometimes people do need therapy. Sometimes people do need these various different things to help them deal with those problems. You know, we're all different, and we all require different mediums that we can vent